We are learning on this story about how King David HaMelech, knew that it was midnight, so that he could begin his work of preparing for the next day through studying Torah in a way of praising Hashem. And we discussed yesterday the difficulty of being able to identify the moment of midnight. And we said that King David had a harp or a musical instrument. It's not clear what kind of musical instrument it was. A musical instrument hanging over his bed, and at midnight the northern wind would blow and would cause his instrument to play. And I was curious to know, what is this northern wind? What is the Ruach Tzfoni? And as I started to do research, I fell down a rabbit hole of mystical ideas around this northern wind, the north wind. It turns out that the winds blow from 4 directions at all 4 parts of the day: before midnight, after midnight, before midday, after midday, until, right? From sunrise until midday, and from midday until sunset, from sunset until midnight, and from midnight until sunrise. Right? And so the wind that blows from midnight until sunrise is called the northern wind. And each wind has its own quality, its own symbolic nature. The northern wind is mentioned elsewhere in the Talmud regarding circumcision. He says that Israelites did not circumcise their children all 40 years in the desert. And the reason is because the northern wind didn't blow on the Israelites in the desert. And the north wind is critical for the healing of wounds. But at the same time, the reason why it didn't blow, the Talmud gives 2 reasons. One reason is because they did not merit to have this wind blow on them, because they were defiled by the sin of the golden calf. And the other reason that the wind did not blow is because if the north wind would blow, it would dissipate the clouds of glory. And so it comes out that this north wind is a contradiction. On the one hand, it's considered something that you need to deserve. If you're defiled, you don't get it. On the other hand, it's described as something that was the Israelites in that moment, as a privilege, did not have the north wind. Right? It was a protection for them not to have the north wind. So what is this north wind? Elsewhere I found reference to the idea of the word tzafon. What is the word tzafon, north? The Hebrew word tzafon. Where else do we find those letters? I'll give you a hint. The Pesach Seder. Right? What does the word tzafon mean? Hidden. Concealment. Right? So the north wind this idea of the north refers to the gevura, the strict judgment of Hashem, in which his kindness is concealed. So if we would talk in the human experience about what is our tzafon, what is our north, is it the body or the soul? The tzafon would be the body that conceals the presence of God. The soul in the human spirit, in the human psyche, in the human mind, it's a spiritual thing that is obviously alive. The body on its own, without a soul, is dead. And so tzafon is something in which holiness, godliness is concealed. And this tzafon represents our entire purpose on this world. All of our work as human beings on earth with the Torah is to face north, is to take on the concealment of God's presence and to integrate spirit into body and to reveal that northeast, to reveal the Mizrach in the Tzafon, the presence of God in the concealment. And now I bring one last comment, which is an interesting midrash that says, why does the Torah start with the letter Bet? And he says, because the letter Bet is a letter that's open on the north side. It's open on the north. It's closed on three sides, and it's open on one side. If somebody could explain to me why the left side of the Bet is considered north, I would appreciate it. I'm a little directionally challenged, but this is what he says. The Bet, somebody understands this? You figure it out. Why is the left side of the letter considered north? But he says it's open on the north. Yirmiyahu Hanavi says, from the north begins evil. And so the rabbis say that Hashem is, so to speak, saying to the nations of the world, to those who don't believe in His presence, let's see if you can close the north side. Let's see if you can create the north wind. And I think that what he might be referring to there is that it is specifically through the Torah that we can bring life and meaning and energy to the darkness, to the physicality, to the struggle. That's the accomplishment of Torah. Anyone can make art. You don't need to be a religious person to create art. You don't need to be a religious person to create philosophy. You don't need to be a religious person to be spiritual. But you do need to be a Torah person in order to be able to transform darkness into light, in order to be able to find light in the Ruach Tzfonis, in the northern wind. And so it's precisely because of this moment at which the northern wind blows over David HaMelech's harp, and as we spoke yesterday, the concept of music is to be able to dig through that Ruach Tzfonis, to dig through the darkness and the pain in this world and to transform it into music. That David HaMelech takes on that moment. That's the moment when he strengthens himself like a lion to study Torah, when the north wind begins to blow. And it's precisely the north wind blowing over the harp of David HaMelech, the harp of 5 strings. The first harp of David has 5 strings, symbolizing the 5 books of Torah. It's when the north wind, the wind of darkness, the wind of midnight, the wind of body, the wind of concealment, blows over the Torah, that's what makes music.